Welcome to the Sooners360 Recruiting Podcast. I'm Chris Mason, lead recruiting analyst for Sooners360. This video is sponsored by Sooners360 on Patreon. To support this video, please go to patreon.com/Sooners360-817 and click subscribe. It's only $2 a month. There's also a free trial option, and I'm posting my regular recruiting content over there. The link will also be in the show notes description below. Sooners360 is also part of the Believe podcast network. Every team, every topic, everywhere. This video covers the recent commitment to OU by 2025 DB/safety Omarion Robinson from Arkansas. So his recruiting process was pretty standard for how OU has been recruiting their top targets. He was identified pretty early. He came in January for a junior day. He had an OU offer. He came back to OU during the spring, and OU was really heavily involved with them. And he'd been identified as, after they got fellow Arkansas high school player Marcus Wimberly, it was really Omarion Robinson was really the only safety left on the board. So OU had clearly identified they wanted Omarion. They set up an official visit for 6/21 for the Champ U barbecue, the big weekend that we just had. Really identified him as their main safety target with the Jonah Williams story kind of taking some twists and turns during spring and early summer. Really Omarion was really the only safety target. When June rolled around, was the only really safety target in play. He did take some other official visits. He had one scheduled to go to UGA. UGA really wanted him. So if you're wondering, who else was trying to compete for him, UGA badly wanted Omarion Robinson in the fold. Alabama tried to enter the recruiting battle in late spring and didn't really have much of a chance. He was also considering LSU. Obviously, in-state Arkansas was pulling heavily on him to stay in state. Pittman needs as many recruiting wins as he can get with this tough season approaching. And then Oregon was also in play, and really the primary challenger to Oklahoma and Arkansas in this recruiting battle. He visited Oregon, has talked publicly about they were his leader, was really kind of set on going to Oregon. Then he came to Norman for his official visit weekend, 6/21. And OU was able to put on, I think, enough of a display, also make him realize why he liked OU in the first place, why he was interested in Oklahoma. Brandon Hall has been recruiting him a long time. They have a very close relationship based upon Omarion's comments post-committing. That Coach Hall was obviously a massive factor in this and their relationship. So OU was able to sort of erase the Oregon lead, also able to project sort of, well, why go all the way to Oregon when we're here? We have a lot of the same things Oregon has. We've got a veteran defensive coordinator as head coach. We're building a great defense here. We're building a great program here. We're now in the SEC, so you don't have to stay home just to play SEC football. So I think a combination of Brandon Hall and all of those other messages really landed with Omarion. And he went ahead on 6/7 this past Saturday. He verbaled to Oklahoma, giving OU positive news after getting the somewhat negative news. Well, the negative news earlier in the day from Lamont Rogers. So OU went 1 for 2, and I still think this is a big pickup for OU. And let's take a look at the recruiting rankings and see where Omarion is currently ranked and what we can draw from here. So this time there's a positive outlier with rivals having Omarion as 121 in the nation, top 15 safety, and the number 1 player in Arkansas. ESPN's kind of close with their low 4-star ranking, and On3 and 247 really need I don't know what On3 is thinking with a 59 player rating. We'll watch his film here in a little bit. If you can find 58 better safeties than Omarion Robinson, then you are a much better recruiting analyst than I am. I just don't see it. So I think there's a good chance that he picks up some steam as the year goes on. Like I said, his recruiting schools were Oregon, who's got a top 5 class and has only been recruiting elite safeties. They're after Jonah Williams, DJ Pickett. They've only been recruiting, elite guys. DJ Pickett's, they're on top 5 player on On3's rankings. They obviously like Oregon guys a lot. So obviously, Omarion should have chosen Oregon and would have gotten an immediate bump in his rankings, apparently. So, when you're talking about UGA, Oregon, and LSU all wanting Omarion, that's a big win for OU, regardless of what these rankings look like. And again, the On3 being, it's not that they have them, they have them as a 3-star. That's fine. It's just, it's the 44 player gap between the two that's just such a weird outlier. Obviously, 247's, at the 40 range, and that's a little bit confusing. But overall, I think, the best description here was that Robinson was invited to the 5-star event at Rivals. He was apparently the best DB there, and there was lots of talented top 100 DBs there. He was the DB MVP, not defensive MVP, sorry, DB MVP at the 5-star event. And just as recently as a couple of days ago, rival analyst Adam Gorney, who is, if you've been following OU recruiting as long as I have, to call him an OU homer would be just plain inaccurate. Called him potentially the best safety in the country. So not going to shock me if he jumps to the next rival rankings into the top 100. To me, I think there's just some. It's becoming an all too familiar refrain with OU targets and just targets in general. On3 is just the outlier. I don't understand their rankings. I don't understand what they're doing, and it's just odd when you consider the schools that were recruiting Omarion and really wanted him. So that's his rankings. So as per usual, now that we're done with the rankings, we're going to look at some film. So the first couple of highlights for Omarion are special teams highlights, kickoff and punt returns. And just here, you can just see his speed and acceleration. There's some concerns, I think, on some rankings that he's not fast. I don't know what they're talking about. When you just watch these kickoff returns, you can just see how sudden and how quick he is, how explosive he is. And he's just flying away from people. I mean, those guys have absolutely no angle on him whatsoever. So I'm just a little confused about why you would say he has no speed. Some of these punt returns have kind of a explosive kind of Perkins feel to them, to use a heralded OU comp. I mean, just he's flying down that sideline. I'm having a hard time understanding why some folks think he's not fast. But who knows? So this is his first 4 highlights are kickoff returns or punt returns for touchdowns. You see here, he's just cuts, explodes, makes a guy miss, and then just keeps his, accelerates, and he's flying down the sideline. So, again, I'm just baffled by the concept that he does not have good speed. Now, here's the safety part that you really like is that you see how far off the line of scrimmage he is. He's comfortable playing that center field safety spot. He makes a move and is able to catch the deflected ball there for an interception. You see again that he is sort of in the center field spot. For a lot of safeties, you don't see this in their highlights because they're usually the best defenders on their team. They're such good playmakers that they usually line of scrimmage guys. But you see here, from his center field safety position, he undercuts the receiver and makes the interception. He also, he's punt returner, kickoff returner. He also plays wide receiver for his high school. As you can see here, just makes a fantastic catch on a deep pass there where he's covered. So excellent ball skills, which you just love at the receiver, at the DB position. Again, another kickoff, another punt return. Ball bounces to him, one cut, finds the sideline, and then he's just gone. I mean, I'm not sure what you really want to look for in terms of more of a playmaker from the return position. And then again, he's going to be at wide receiver here again, playing both ways and special teams for his high school. He's obviously the best player, hit in stride, and he's just flying away from the DB and takes that, I think it's about 85, 90 yards. But like I said, he shows excellent coverage skills. It's just he's got so many special teams highlights, and that reminds me of like a Perkins return, just blazing up through the middle, then cutting through and making it, nearly getting it, should have housed it, but wasn't quite there. But again, he's at wide receiver, so he's just playing all of these positions for his team. That elite best athlete, when he can concentrate on safety, I think he'll be even better. His ball skills at wide receiver and his returner, I think, are an excellent sign of what he will be when he's able to just concentrate at DB. Again, he's in the sort of the natural deep safety position, which he's really good at. Goes out to, he goes up and then in run support, he's just very physical here. He goes from being a deep safety, moves up to the line of scrimmage, and does a good job in run support, showing his physicality. Back again here to another wide receiver play. Again, highlighting just elite ball skills, which I think will, all those, we see that with with quite a few of the safeties that Brandon Hall has recruited, that the players have also has some wide receiver highlights and wide receiver skills. Here you see just doing a good job in run support, playing safety. And again, here he's just very comfortable in that deep safety position, backtracking, and then he comes up and run support, lays a hit on that guy. That's just a really good hit. Stopping that, making that 5-yard play just be a 5-yard play and not anything longer. It's his moves, you see the moves, acceleration here. Obviously, he's about to get tackled because everyone's rallying to him, but it's just his acceleration is excellent, and you just love to see. Again, he'll love to see him lay the wood on a wide receiver there. So it's just excellent. It's excellent film. I think all of that entire package, when you think about the fact he'll be a safety for OU, and he's too good not to be wide receiver for his high school, and too good not to be their number one special teams weapon. Again, when you allow, Billy Bowman's a returner for OU. Peyton Bowen was a great returner in high school as well. So, he's 6 foot, 185 pounds. He's showing speed. He's showing coverage ability. He's showing playmaking ability, hands, balls, excellent ball skills. It's just the total package for a center field safety to go with Marcus Wimberly, who's a little bigger and could be a little bit more of a line of scrimmage safety, a little bit more of the in the box type safety. So when you talk about the two of them combined from Arkansas, it's a big pickup. And to me, I'd have him ranked in the top 100 nationally. Have I timed him in the 40? No, I have not. But you just watch. If you're watching this film and you disagree with that, please put it in the comments below. I just don't see how you can see him making as many long plays as he does and then question his long speed. It doesn't really compute to me. And you see what a good job he does at safety. And again, those ball skills that he's flashing at wide receiver will translate into interceptions in the college game at when he's allowed to dedicate himself to the safety position. So what does this do for DB recruiting? Well, other than some potentially timely scheduled check-in phone calls with Jonah Williams to see if there's any remaining interest, safety recruiting is over. Coach Hall can take a victory lap for the third really good safety class in a row. He went to Arkansas and found the perfect safety duo for the OU defense. Because that's another thing. They're just a perfect fit for what Brent wants to do in terms of defensive scheme overall and how they would be used. Literally, Wimberly and Robinson are a pair you can put at the two safety positions for OU as a working pair. So to find two guys that have that combination of skills and gives you different abilities, it's great for the Sooners scheme. So Hall's done a great job stacking classes at safety, along with his secondary partner, Jay Valai. We're starting to see that in the field and starting to see that from a depth standpoint. I mean, now you have Peyton Bowen, then you have Powers, Boganowski, Jaden Hardy. You have Robert Spears Jennings from the class before in 2022. You now have Wimberly and Robinson. So you've got a 3-4 deep safety room, and you've got some class, disparity, some class separation between them. And we all know safeties are often excellent special teams players, especially coverage teams. So just, Wimberly, if Omarion's too good if Omarion is somewhere in the returner mix, I can guarantee you Wimberly will be in the coverage teams knocking people around. So, Wimberly's should be a top 200 player composite. I think Omarion should be a top 100. OU needed two safeties. So if I'm giving it a quick quantity grade, I'd give it an A. Quality grade wise, it's probably an A-, B+, depending on how hard you want to be. The only nit to pick about safety is that OU seemed to have a lead or seemed to be really engaged with Jonah Williams and sort of fell off in that recruiting battle. Although, there's certainly time to flip that around, but right now that doesn't really look like a possibility. Another Oregon prediction went in. Oregon apparently going all out for 5-star Texas players, at least in this class. So but overall, this is pretty much Omarion or bust. After they got Wimberly, they really focused on Omarion Robinson and did not offer another safety. Didn't bring any other safeties in for visits. This was pretty much, I think, OU saying we feel good about the safety room. We really love Omarion Robinson, but if we don't get Omarion, we might just call it a day and just have one safety to go with our 3 corners in the class and cycle the ship for next year, because we've got a good safety room. But if we can get Omarion, we think he's a difference maker. So we're gonna bring him in and try and work very hard to sign him. So I think that's how high OU had him on their safety board. They could have offered, a half dozen other 3-4-star safeties, try to get them into Norman, but they just so focused on Omarion Robinson and felt like he was the best fit. And I do think his fit with Wimberly is just about perfect for the OU defense. So that's Omarion Robinson. We'll be back with another commit video when OU gets another commitment, and we're obviously going to be waiting on that for a little bit, I think, for 2025. So go ahead and please click like and subscribe to this video. And please visit patreon.com/Sooners360 to subscribe for more recruiting content and to support these videos. Also, please subscribe to the Sooners360 YouTube channel to be aware of when we post more videos. Thanks, everyone.